Today, we're doing a deep dive into something called overcompensation. Basically, growth through stress. We've pulled together sources from biology, psychology, even some philosophy to try and uncover what seems like nature's secret algorithm for, well, progress.
Yeah, it's a really powerful idea.
It's not just about getting through tough times, right?
Yeah.
It's about how difficulty itself might be the key ingredient for improvement.
Exactly. I mean, most people get the idea of robustness. You know, what doesn't kill you makes you tougher. You take a hit, you get back to where you were, baseline.
Right, you endure.
But what these sources are pointing to is way more radical. It's called antifragility, the idea that systems don't just resist stress, they actually need it. They need that friction, that shock to get better than they were before.
Okay, that's a big claim. Need it.
Yeah.
And this isn't just some abstract theory you're saying.
Not at all. The sources show this law, this overcompensation thing, it applies everywhere. Your muscles after a workout, sure, but also like entire economies, maybe even societies.
Wow. Okay. So we're basically investigating how living systems turn short-term pain into like a long-term upgrade.
Precisely. How they convert that stress into an advantage, a permanent one, hopefully.
All right, let's define it clearly then. What exactly is overcompensation in this context?
Okay, simply put, it's when a system faces a stressor, it recovers, but instead of just going back to normal...
Like robustness?
Right, instead of just baseline, it deliberately overshoots. It builds itself back stronger, adds a buffer, basically anticipates that the stress might come back.
So it's preparing for the future based on the past hit.
Exactly. It's learning. And that overshoot, that extra capacity, that's what the sources call antifragility in action. It's like post-traumatic growth, but built into the very fabric of life.
Someone called it the dividend of discomfort. I like that.
Yeah, it's a great phrase, isn't it? It frames pain not as a penalty, but as an investment that pays out.
Which implies the flip side. If discomfort pays dividends, then maybe too much comfort is risky.
That's precisely the argument. One source literally calls comfort fragility's trophy.
Fragility's trophy? Ouch.
Yeah. The idea is if a system or even a person exists only in the absence of challenge, it gets weak. It becomes complex in fragile ways. It forgets how to handle shock because it never practices.
So when an unavoidable stress finally hits...
It shatters because it has no mechanism, no memory of response.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Biology first. The body seems like the most obvious place to see this. Muscular development, for instance.
Perfect example. Everyone sort of gets this intuitively. You lift weights, you feel sore. That soreness is actually microscopic damage, tiny tears in the muscle fibers.
Right, you're literally hurting yourself on a small scale.
Yes, intentionally. But here's the key. The body's repair process isn't just about patching things up. It reads that damage as a signal.
A signal for what?
A signal to upgrade. It mobilizes these things called satellite cells. Think of them as specialized construction crews for muscle. They fuse to the damaged fibers, protein synthesis goes way up, and the muscle doesn't just heal back to normal. It rebuilds thicker, denser, stronger than before.
It overshoots.
It overshoots. It assumes today's hard work is tomorrow's minimum requirement, so that weight feels easier next time.
And this isn't just muscles, right? You mentioned bones, too. Wolff's Law.
Yeah, Wolff's Law is fascinating. It basically says bones remodel themselves constantly based on the mechanical stresses they experience.
To load it up, it gets stronger.
Exactly. Think about manual laborers, martial artists, athletes. They put repeated targeted stress on their skeleton. The bone responds by becoming denser, more robust. That stress is the growth signal.
And the opposite, if you remove the stress.
Catastrophe, biologically speaking. The classic example is astronauts in zero gravity.
Right, no load.
No load means no signal. Their bodies basically start dismantling the skeleton because, hey, why maintain this heavy structure if there's no force acting on it? Bone density plummets.
Wow. So it's literally use it or lose it, but applied to bone based on stress.
Or maybe stress it or lose it. Remove the need for strength, and the strength disappears. The bone is like a living record of the forces you've encountered.
Okay, muscles, bones. What about something less visible, like the immune system? Does it need stress too?
Absolutely. The immune system is maybe the ultimate example of learning through exposure. It thrives on challenge.
You mean like kids playing in the dirt, getting exposed to germs?
Yes, exactly that. Or, more formally, vaccination. Think about what a vaccine is.
It's like a practice run for the immune system.
Precisely. It's a controlled microdose of stress. You introduce a weakened or harmless piece of the pathogen. The body freaks out a little, learns to recognize the enemy, builds the weapons.
The antibodies.
Right. And then it overcompensates by creating memory cells. So next time the real threat shows up, the response is overwhelming and fast. It's stronger because of that initial controlled stress.
And the flip side, again, what happens if the immune system is too shielded?
Well, the sources suggest that's not necessarily good either. A system that never encounters real threats might become jumpy, hypersensitive,
Cars at least.
possibly. Or even worse, some research hints that maybe some autoimmune diseases arise from an immune system that's strong but bored. It hasn't faced real external enemies, so it starts mistakenly attacking the body's own tissues.
That's unsettling. The idea that trying to create perfect safety could actually make the system turn on itself.
It's a paradox of complex systems. Complete lack of stress can be destabilizing in its own way.
Okay, so if our bodies follow this rule, does our psychology work the same way?
The sources argue, yes, absolutely. The mind adapts and gets stronger through adversity, not through constant ease. It builds, let's call them emotional calluses.
Emotional calluses, I get that. So someone who, say, never faces any rejection.
They might become incredibly brittle, thin-skinned. The smallest criticism feels like a huge attack because they've never built up that protective layer. They lack the buffer.
Whereas someone who's faced setbacks maybe failed a few times.
And recovery is key. They learn detachment. They learn calibration. That stress, that non-lethal failure, it inoculates their character. It builds resilience. It's like psychological weightlifting.
Let's take public speaking. Lots of people fear that.
Oh, yeah, visceral fear. The nervous system initially flags it as a major threat, heart pounds, palms sweat, the whole deal.
Fight or flight.
Right. But how do people overcome it? Not by avoiding it forever.
By doing it repeatedly.
Exactly. Repeated exposure. Enough to stretch the comfort zone, but not totally break you. With each successful or even just survivable experience, you're teaching your nervous system, see, this isn't fatal.
So it recalibrates.
It recalibrates. The fear starts to morph into focus, into energy. The threshold for panic gets higher. The mind literally builds new pathways, overcompensating for the initial fear by creating confidence wiring.
And this isn't just small anxieties. History seems full of examples where massive hardship forged exceptional character.
Definitely. The sources point to figures like Franklin D. Roosevelt. His battle with polio, being paralyzed, that intense personal crisis, is often cited as forging the incredible calm and stoicism he showed later.
Dealing with the Depression, World War II.
He had mastered immense personal pressure first. That experience seems to have fundamentally changed him, overcompensated his character, you might say.
Or Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison.
An almost unimaginable stress. Yet instead of breaking him, it seems to have refined him. Think about the patience, the discipline, the incredible emotional intelligence he possessed upon release.
It's like the pressure cooker transformed him.
It forced an internal adaptation and overcompensation. The system responded to that extreme, prolonged psychological stress by building superior internal resources. Pressure created poise.
Okay, so body-mind. What about bigger systems? You mentioned economics earlier. Do markets follow this stress and growth pattern too?
Profoundly so, though it's often painful for the individuals or companies involved. Market crashes, recessions, disruptions, they're terrible in the moment.
Obviously.
But their function, biologically speaking, is to purge the system. They clear out inefficiency, complacency, bad ideas, fragile structures. The companies and systems that survive and adapt emerge leaner, smarter, more resilient.
The 2008 financial crisis comes to mind. There was this period of false stability beforehand.
Exactly. Too much leverage, too much complexity hidden away, systems that were optimized for calm weather but totally unprepared for a storm, peak fragility.
And the crash was the storm.
A massive involuntary correction. Painful, yes. But look what happened afterwards in the wreckage.
What emerged?
You saw this huge acceleration in fintech, new regulatory pressures, maybe not perfect, but aimed at transparency. The rise of decentralized ideas like crypto gained traction. Adaptive offspring grew from the ashes. Every major economic shift seems to start with some kind of painful purge.
So pulling this all together, the underlying philosophy seems to be what? Pain isn't the enemy.
Pain isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. That's the core message. It's nature's way of saying adapt or decay. There's no neutral ground.
And there's a warning in the sources too, right? About our modern obsession with comfort.
Yes, a strong warning. Things like constant climate control, filtered news feeds, social media echo chambers. We're engineering friction out of our lives.
Trying to build perfect, smooth shells.
Exactly. Strong shells, maybe, but potentially weak cores. We're starving our innate need for challenge for the very signals that drive adaptation and growth. We risk becoming fragile because we avoid the necessary tension.
Okay, so this leads to the big question for everyone listening. How do you actually live this way? How do you become more anti-fragile?
Well, the sources are pretty direct. You have to intentionally design manageable stress back into your life. You have to seek out strain in controlled ways.
Like what? Give us some examples.
It means exposing yourself to micro failures, small recoverable setbacks, things like train when you're already a bit tired, speak up in a meeting even when you're nervous, maybe make a small investment when everyone else is panicking.
Deliberately push the edge of your comfort zone.
Gently, yes. Each time you face a small discomfort and recover, you send a signal to your nervous system, hey, I can handle this, I'm capable of more.
But hang on, isn't there a risk? What if you push too hard? What if the micro failure becomes a macro disaster? Where's the line?
That's a crucial point. The stress has to be non-lethal and recoverable. That's key. Think dosage. You want small, survivable challenges followed by adequate recovery time, not one giant shock that breaks you.
So when investing during panic, you don't bet the farm.
Absolutely not. You invest an amount that's small enough for you to handle the emotional stress of potential loss without actual ruin. The goal is gradual inoculation, not trial by fire. The failure size must allow for that overcompensation rebound.
Okay, so true strength isn't just gritting your teeth and enduring whatever life throws at you.
No, it's more proactive. It's about partnering with discomfort, using it as feedback, learning from it, rather than just fearing it or wishing it away. The goal isn't to eliminate struggle, it's to build a version of yourself that actually uses struggle to get stronger.
Right, to transform that tension into energy, into capability.
Exactly.
Okay, let's quickly recap the big ideas then. Overcompensation. Systems don't just recover from stress, they overshoot their baseline. This applies biologically, psychologically, even economically. It creates things like muscle growth, emotional calluses, market innovation. It's the dividend of discomfort.
And maybe the final thought, pulling it all together, is this. You weren't really built for pure safety. You were built for adaptation, for recovery, for transformation. Real growth, deep growth, it never comes from avoiding stress. It comes from engaging with it, mastering it.
So the best version of you is probably waiting on the other side of some pressure you're currently avoiding, which leads us to our final thought for you to consider, based on everything we've discussed. If constant comfort actually starves evolution, what's one small micro-failure, one slightly uncomfortable task, one tiny exposure to something you usually avoid that you could deliberately introduce into your life this week, just to send that signal to your system, I'm ready for more?